You cannot underestimate the large amount of crises we are facing in this country. And when you stop to think about them, it is unbelievable that we just have so many all at once. Now, regardless, even if somehow magically, Jeremy Corbyn came riding in on his, white steed and said, I am here to solve all these crises. Even him and a Labour government that he would lead would have a very, very difficult challenge to try and solve these. But unfortunately, we don't have that, let alone an even competent Tory government that might maybe be able to muddle the way through this crisis. But unfortunately, a lot of these crises have been caused by the very Tory government that is now in charge. And unfortunately, we are going to have to live through these times. And today, of all things, we have another crisis. Yes, another crisis. Because we've got a crisis in the vegetable industry, a vegetable crisis. To go with the long list of crises that we already have to deal with. Yeah, you could not make this up, that we are having to deal with this. And other countries, they've got their own, problems to deal with. But I guarantee you, they haven't got this long and ever-growing list of crises that the government just isn't willing to actually solve or put their heads together to come up with problems and solutions to these crises. It's mind-blowing. It really is. And I said yesterday in yesterday's videos, we have to do better than Liz Truss, and we can do better. Right now, there are ideas out there, not just about, nationalization, but a ton of different things the government could be doing to be helping to solve the energy crisis, or at least alleviate the cost of living crisis. Are they doing anything about it? No. And unfortunately, we come back to one of, if not one of the main crises that is making a lot of the current crises even worse. Yes, it's time to go back to the crisis of all crises, the mother of all crises, I suppose you could call it. And that, of course, is Brexit. But before we get into this new vegetable Brexit crisis, before we do that, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. And of course, down below there is the YouTube thank you button as well, if you'd like to use that. And of course, there is the YouTube subscription where you can join the Pony Club and you get badges, emojis, and you get a free super chat a month as well. So, as always, let's go diving on into that and find out more about our vegetable crisis. So, this comes from the Guardian with the title of Cucumber Capital. Growers selling up as Brexit and energy crisis hits Britain's vegetable industry. Huge areas of one of Britain's biggest salad growing hubs will be replaced by housing estates as growers give up in despair and cash in on their land. Lee Valley, also known as the cucumber capital of Britain and Britain's salad bowl, is one of the diamonds of the UK's embattered horticultural sector. The Lee Valley Growers Association, seeded through an area running across Greater London, Essex and Hertfordshire, comprises of more than 180 hectares of 450 acres of greenhouses run by over 80 growers. The valley should be a jewel in the crown for a country concerned with homegrown industry and food security. Very true. Are the Tories are the Tories going to care about this? I think not. Anyway, hit hard by Brexit, a flawed Home Office plan for workers, and now a rising energy prices. More than a third of growers have applied for planning permission to knock down 60 hectares of greenhouse to replace them with housing estates, warehouses, and small factories. And their applications have all been granted. Without government assistance for British food producers, the largest hub in the UK's greenhouse sector could face extinction within the next 2 years, said Lee Stills, the LVGA secretary. To be concerned over, to be concreted over by houses and industry. The association has 80 growers and 450 acres of greenhouses, he said. 20 growers have had permission for housing, representing over 100 acres, and another have 10 permissions to develop their 50 acres into a light industrial uses. The Lee Valley needs at least 200 and 2,200 workers a year, and the companies were hit hard by Brexit. The seasonal workers scheme set up by the Home Office and the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, or DEFRA, which was meant to ease this problem, requires that workers return home after 6 months. This means that in a season which runs for 10 to 11 months, growers have to recruit twice the amount and train workers twice to do the same job, Stiles said. Our growers have experienced a 40% shortfall in workers this year. The government's 6-month rule has resulted in many growers finishing with a completely different workforce than that they started with, and some are unable to complete due to the complete lack of workers. 40 of them, representing over 200 acres, haven't planted this year, said Stiles. And another 10 who have 60 acres have ceased trading. Among them were 4 growers who previously cultivated 1 in every 20 lettuces eaten by British households. They have stopped growing them completely in the past 2 years, while others who grow at least 100 meter sweet peppers have had this season been forced to cut their crop in half. 74-year-old Ivalo Chipio and his wife Lugia, aged 68, started their businesses growing salad leaves, cucumbers, and herbs over 52 years ago, and are now getting up at 5:30 every morning to make up for the shortfall in workers. They will go down on their hands and knees to cut the parsley, says their son, 48-year-old Tony, who now runs the 11 acres of 7 greenhouses. It's dirty work, but they know they have to do it. All the lettuce growers in this process are selling their nursery, Stiles said. It is pointless planting a crop you are not confident of securing the labor to pick, as you will simply have to throw it away. They have also been hit harder than most industries by the huge rise in gas prices because they have to heat their greenhouses. The largest input cost for the growers used to be labor, followed by energy, Stiles said. Now it is energy, followed by labor. Half of the growers did not even plant when vital supplies of gases for greenhouses soared by over 30 pence a therm in January and has now hit £4 a therm. In 14 years, I have been doing this job. This is the worst I've ever seen. 90% of our members are family businesses, traditionally employing over 2,500 people. We have only one large corporate. The result of the government scheme, he said, was fewer British growers, lost jobs, more imported food, more food miles, an increasing carbon footprint, and a greater climate damage. Horticultural growers in the EU receive state aid. We, of course, don't receive any EU money at all, he said. The UK has been losing large slices of its salads and vegetable markets to producers in Spain and Morocco who don't have to use gas to heat their greenhouses and who are just 4 days away by road from here. So, yeah, this is, this is going to be, so hard. And to be honest, I think this is this finishes it off here. I'm just going to finish it off with this. So one of them, who is a card-carrying member of the Tory party, had this to say. He said, "It's not going to be about people having to pay more this winter for the fresh food. If many more growers are forced to stop producing, they are going to starve." And that is incredibly worrying. I think that sums it up so perfectly. The worry we now have to face. And the idea that the government will just let this scheme, let all these cucumber, capital of the, you know, the cucumber valley, the salad valley, I think it was called at the beginning, just let it go to rot. Not only is this a Brexit disaster, it's an energy disaster, which could lead to a food disaster of people starving this winter. Yet more crises brought to you by the Tory party. And you just can't believe how these keep on growing, how these keep on being added to all the time. I just can't believe it. But there you have it. Anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, we'll see you all next time.